Hello and welcome to the Space Madness podcast. My name is Jeff Nosanov. I'm your host. And today we have a guest with us. His name is Hugh Chen, and he is a graduate student in aerospace engineering at Georgia Tech. And if you listen to this podcast, then you probably know I like to have people on with a wide variety of experiences, young and not so young, from all over the world. Really the only theme being an interest or a love of space exploration. And I think our guest today has no shortage of that. So with that, Hugh, thank you for joining me, and we'll get started.
Awesome. So thanks for having me. I can see the cat in the background. Super cute.
Oh, yeah. The cats are going to be all over. There's a fly in here somewhere, so they're going to be chasing the cat,
Hunting it down. Awesome.
Yeah.
Just a quick introduction of myself, everyone. My name's Hugh. I'm a third year PhD student here at the Low Gravity Science and Technology Lab at Georgia Tech. I have been I've been super passionate about space for all these years. I'm 23 years old right now, but I've been pursuing a space dream since I was about 15 when I first came here to the US on my own, just to explore the world while at the same time pursuing my space dream.
So I love that you introduce yourself that way, because I definitely want to focus on that part of your story to start with.
Yeah.
But I actually want to go back a little farther. So first of all, where did you come from in the first place? I know, but the audience doesn't, obviously.
So I grew up in Hong Kong, from Hong Kong, and I was born and raised there until I was 15. Yep.
So what age? So tell me about discovering that space exploration was the passion for you. And I find, so you're 23 years old. You're born in 2002. So that's a different space world than I was born in. So I'm curious what led you in that path, down that path.
So I think there's a lot of different reasons. Growing up, I've always been super interested in like natural history, anything to do with like natural science. My parents focus a lot, like they cultivate me to be like in love with the earth and be connected to nature and elements like that. My mom, she grew up I remember a lot when I was a kid. My mom always take me to like different hikes. We'll like bring like a huge encyclopedia of like insects, and it will just like catch different insects. We'll release them out, obviously, but we'll just identify them, and it will say, okay, so we found this in our book and stuff. So growing up, I've always been super passionate, and I just like enough nature in general. For the longest time, I've been super interested in marine biology. I love ocean.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny actually, because I love the ocean. I love identifying fish, and I always go to the fish market, and I'll go like identify new species, and obviously I'll cook them afterwards.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. But I also have a huge passion for like geoscience and geology for a while. I was super nerdy about geoscience for a long time. I did it in high school, or it works a bit different in Hong Kong. It's like secondary school and stuff. But in general, I always love the earth. And so this kind of like it's interesting. It's like, because I'm not doing geoscience right now. I'm doing aerospace, obviously. But I think that's the part where my dad comes in. So my dad's engineer. He's an electrical engineer. He owns his own business. But for the longest time, he has worked on a wide variety of electrical engineering system projects. For instance, he worked on like all the high-speed trains around the whole world.
Really?
Yeah, and he worked a lot on renewables, so like solar power or like wind energy. Out of my limit. It was Peter whistle.
No.
Okay, it's the Georgia Tech whistle and then super loud.
Okay, no problem.
No, all good. So my dad's been big influence in terms of engineering to me. Just like I've always grown up listening to all these tales about his work and stuff. He'll be like working, like, 1 month he'll be in Germany working on this like wind turbine system, and then like next month he's going to be like traveling to Japan or India and all this stuff. So I've always wanted to be like him, just like go around the world, explore different engineering problems, and then solve them. I think that's great. And the things that he does, I feel like it's in general like making the world a better place, increasing the quality of life of people, and making it a more peaceful place at the same time. With that, two things combined, and then I was also in a really weird phase, because in Hong Kong, you kind of have to choose your career path really early in life. So a lot of my friends oftentimes we have to choose what elective subjects to take when we're in like 9th grade. And what that translates to is like, okay, so we have people that is like, okay, I'm going to head towards a more like a white collar path, I want to be a CPA, or I want to be like a lawyer. So then a lot of times those people would take literature, or like they would take a mix of like history and stuff like that. But then like for me, I chose a really weird path. Oh, not like a weird path. I took like the STEM side of path. I took physics, chemistry, geography, which is actually a bit different than most people. And I took like advanced math, things like that. So that's sort of like the path I went into. But then like during the entire time, I thought I was going to be like, okay, I'm going to end up being an engineer at home, or or a geologist, or like a surveyor, which is a really big thing in Hong Kong. That's it. Really,
Interesting.
yeah, I'm not sure if I don't think most Americans have heard of the job surveying, except for like people that live in the city.
So I've got so many things we overlap on already. I'll tell you when you're done with this thought.
Okay, but with surveying, it's like, yeah, it's a really Hong Kong. It's a big job in Hong Kong. Basically, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
you're planning,
Hmm.
you're doing city planning, you're
Mm-hmm.
getting like or like infrastructure building, things like that. I've always been into it, but then I was like, I feel like I'm not reaching my full extent of potential. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that I feel like I could do better. Not like I could do better. Not that those jobs are not good enough, but like
I
I wanted
understand.
something more challenging. That's like not like a defined career path. Because most
Mm-hmm.
like professional career in Hong Kong are like they're really defined. So like a lot of my friends right now they do surveying. They would do things like they would take the public exam, begin the university. After that,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna join a firm. The firm's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
able to offer you like essentially sponsorship to do these license exams. And
Mm-hmm.
then for the next 10 years, like not even kidding, up to your 30s, you'll be taking different sort of exams just to like rank up and then you can have like higher position in the industry. So it's like really
Okay.
rigid and
Mm-hmm.
also like obviously like the career path super defined, like I said earlier. So then I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, maybe that's really not for me. And then that's also when the same time that Interstellar came out,
The
about
movie.
like
Okay.
2014, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I watched it as a kid. I cried. I was like touched by
Yeah.
both the expression of fatherly love and also like just the immensely large universe of how small we are,
Mm-hmm.
how fragile, how just insignificant humanity is in the grand scope of the universe. So then I sort of have like a midlife crisis, even though I was like 15, like 14 back then.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh man, what do I want to do? Like, I was like, you know, um, just kind of like lost. Oh, okay, I didn't watch it on 2014, but I watched the movie in 2017, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's like when I actually actively reached out. I was like, okay, I need to figure out what I want to do in life. But simultaneously at the same time, my dad, he did his university in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
Manchester. And then he's been always working. He's been working in a German company for the longest time, like 20 years or so at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And he always wanted me to like go out and see the world, and just like maybe Duke University, Germany, and somewhere else, so that I can have like a wider spectrum of like the world, of the globe.
Mm-hmm.
So, and during that time when he was like trying to like maybe explore different culture, we went to different countries. I'm super privileged, by the way. Like my parents are like
Mm-hmm.
super supportive of all these. We went to like countries like the United, like we came to the States for a little bit. We went to
Mm-hmm.
different countries in Europe. We went to Germany and stuff. And then and all this things just like sorry, this is like super scatter story. I didn't have like a really
That's okay. That's
defined
okay.
roadmap.
Yeah.
Um, so like let me know if you have to like want me to like go
No,
back.
this is fine. I will if you're at a moment to take a pause, I'll share some thoughts. So okay, so surveying, marine biology, and space. More, you and I have more in common than you might realize. So my first real astronomy class, when I was in 10th grade, Santa Monica College in LA, my mom went to wait in the line and signed me up, but the astronomy class was full, so she put me in the marine biology class. And I was a little annoyed, but I actually loved it, and I really appreciated the opportunity to study the oceans and learn more about that. And that would later become directly relevant in my space work as I worked on stuff in the oceans around other worlds. So on the oceans on other worlds and moons. So the connections are sometimes surprise you. And then
Yeah.
the next year I took the astronomy class, which got me, which really got me excited. But in the surveying side, so my dad's side of my family is a series of surveyors, basically surveyors and civil engineers. So my grandfather was a surveyor and then a civil engineer in the desert of Southern California. And so I grew up with doing some surveying, moving, carrying chains around the desert and like measuring stuff. So we have that in common. And civil engineering actually was my first exposure to kind of an analytical approach to problem solving, whether it's a bridge or a retaining wall. I once had a conversation with a friend on a train for like an hour and a half, pointing out things outside the window of the train that were part of civil engineering. And it was very interesting to see this guy was in medical school. Very interesting to see this highly educated person never put any thought into the basic things that make civilization work, like roads and pipes and power lines and so on. So that sort of really influenced my thinking throughout my, first half of my life before my own career started. So I think I really like in the conversations like this to find these commonalities between people with very different backgrounds, different ages. Obviously, everyone on Earth needs water, needs running water, everyone needs electricity. These are the things that kind of unite all of us. And so on your theme of making the world a better place, like some things are culturally specific or unique, but everyone needs a toilet or something like a toilet. Everyone needs plumbing and water and transportation. So I appreciate that background. So you were talking about how you got exposed to a lot of different parts of the world. How'd you choose the U.S.? And how'd you get here?
So, there's a lot of different things, different elements. Well, first of all, most Asian families, usually the parents will tell them what to do. So just a little bit of context there. My
Okay.
parents never tell me what to do. Like they just tell me
Mm,
like, you go out there, choose where you want to
mm,
go. We'll support
mm,
you, and then we'll always love you. And I
mm,
mean, obviously, like, my mom is one. Like she was sad that I was leaving, but like she always been like
mm,
so supportive of me. It's like, okay, I love you, but I want to let you go to see
mm,
the world and form your own opinions of the world. So for me and mine, there's a few destinations. I mean, it's mostly just Germany or the U.S. or somewhere in Europe, maybe the UK.
mm,
But these have to go back to aerospace first because at around like 14 or 15, I started to form the idea that, okay, I think I'm going to go ahead with aerospace engineering because there's so many, I guess the rationale back then to me was there's so many
mhm,
things I want to do in life.
mhm,
I hope I will live a healthy life. And if my life is long enough, there's always things I can go back and do. I don't have to do them
mhm,
immediately. For instance, like there's like a lot of things going on. Sorry. Let's tackle like, for example, marine biology first.
mhm,
I learned a lot more about the ocean, and then I was like, okay, I realized that a lot about marine biology is about conservation, and also just doing like data collection and things like that. And
mhm,
I realized that it's pretty passive in a way that
mhm,
you can do conservation absolutely. There's no doubt, but
mhm,
the effects of the extent that you can protect the ocean is limited by policy as well as the funding that
mhm,
you have. And then same things
mhm,
goes for a lot of the other things I'm interested in. So then I was like, okay, I want to like make sure I want to maximize my impact to this world to make it a better
mhm,
place once again. I was like, what's the best path? And aerospace stands out. I mean, obviously, because like I mean, obviously you got the defense side of things, but then there's also space exploration side of things. And also back then when I was a kid, I was reading about like I was learning about these news about SpaceX. There's obviously
mhm,
a huge commercial aspect to it. So then that's when I was like, okay, I love space. I've always read about these different astronomy stuff, like planet stuff.
mhm,
And then what's even cooler about space is that you don't have to limit yourself to just like building spacecraft and stuff. You can build a spacecraft and then you go to a different planet and then you can survey this ocean and do all those things that I love. You can build infrastructures there. So then I was like, okay,
yes.
this becomes a critical, I guess, knowledge gap that I have to like kind of tackle so that I can
Mhm,
do these other things that I love later on in my life. So
I
then
see.
that's sort of like my rationale back then.
Uh,
And then super coincidentally, I have like alumni in my high school that I was close to the teacher, and she had a student that graduated many years ago. Well, he
mm,
actually didn't graduate, but he immigrated here to the U.S. And
mm,
he actually did his master's in aerospace engineering here at Georgia Tech.
uh,
So that's a whole connection there. And then I was like, okay, let me
sure.
talk to this guy and learn about like how the U.S. works. So I talked to him for approximately like a whole year, just like
Yeah,
learn
let us
about.
know once you figure out how the U.S. works. Let me know,
Yeah,
please.
I mean, I'm still figuring it out too, especially these changing times.
Yes.
But I just wanted to know, like, what's the concept like? What's school like?
Mhm, hmm,
What's a career path, for example, for an aerospace engineer? And like, how does he like, how much does he like his own like job and stuff? So like, these are all things that I was really luckily able to get from like a first-hand source, thanks to
mhm,
my teacher. So talked to this guy, his name's Brian, for like the longest time. And then I reached a certain point, and I was like, okay, I think I want to see what it's like in the US. I don't want to
mhm,
fully commit yet, just in case I don't end up liking it for like its atmosphere or whatever reason it is. Because
sure.
from an outside point of view, when I was living out of the US, all you see is really just like there's a lot of politics things that follow, like obviously all the things on the news, but also you see a lot of things such as like gun violence and things like that. And these are like
Mhm,
deterrents to where like my tendencies come here to the US. So I was like,
mhm,
okay, I want to have this is also another personal belief of mine. I want to see this place with my own eyes,
mhm,
with my own experience, because like the things that media portrays is always different, right? Because it's always you're being filtered by different people's perspective
sure.
things. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, let me come here to the US for a year, and then I'm gonna see if I like it, and if I like it, I'll stay. If not, I'll just go to like somewhere else and
Mm,
just explore the world.
mm.
So that's that's a long cycle to answer your question.
No, that's great. That's very thoughtful.
Yeah, I just want to give you like my rationale because there's a lot of thinking back then. And it's just like so then okay, this is when I was like 15. Yeah, I was still 15 back then. It was like
Mhm,
2017. And then I was like, okay, let me apply for this exchange student program to the US. It's called the
mhm,
Aspect Exchange Foundation, I think.
mhm,
So I did that. I applied for it. pay a little bit of fees. And then essentially you're put into a lottery system, or not really a lottery system. You're put in
Okay.
like a candidate system. Then host families from around the US, they review
Okay.
your proposition, and it's okay. If I like you, I'll pick you up and have you join my family for a year. And then from that, family from Utah, somewhere close to Salt Lake City, they just chose
Mm.
me. A host was like, "Oh, I want to meet someone from Hong Kong," because she already hosted someone from Germany in the past, and she wanted to meet someone from a different side of the world. And
Okay.
super luckily, they chose me, and I was just like that, zoop. And then I was like in Utah and the U.S. and lived there for the first time.
Wow. So had you even heard of Utah before this happened? I mean, is Utah on anyone's radar in Hong Kong?
It is because of religion, because like you see their missionaries in Hong Kong a lot. So like,
Interesting.
yeah, like at the
Okay.
beginning, I was like skeptical because I'm not a religious person.
Uh,
Like I was skeptical of it. It's like, okay, oh, are they trying to like recruit me to religion or
wow.
elements like that? But they turned out to be the loveliest person ever. Like they've
Yeah.
never, like they've only been respectful, loving, and
Mm.
kind. And a matter
Wow.
of fact, I visit them every single year. I call them my dad and mom as well. They're
Uh,
my parents in here in the U.S. And I have like 3 brothers and then like 20 different cousins because of that.
wow. What a great experience. So that was your first year, and it sounds like you knew pretty quickly that you wanted to stay. So what was next?
It was a bit of exploration, I think, because at the beginning it was like Utah being a super homogenous place and also religiously homogenous as well. It was hard to blend in at the first like few months, especially
Mm.
except for my family. Family's super receptive. But I started meeting other exchange students from around the world. So then I then over there as well. I was like taking classes. I was like, okay, I was like, I was surprised by how many classes the high school curriculum offers by the US. For example,
Mm.
like I took marine biology there, I took astronomy, I
Mm.
took AP classes, and I had a lot of fun.
Mm.
And I think that gave me like a really positive impression of the US education system in that way, in terms of
Mm.
flexibility. But then obviously I'll also recognize there's like a variety of stuff that you can choose. So like if you really want to go try hard on schooling, you can take all the AP classes, you can max it out. That's
Mm.
great. But then for those people that want to take it easier, you can take like other classes too. So I like the flexibility of that. That gave me a good impression. And then over time, I started making friends there. And I was at that point, this is about 2018, 2019. And then I was
Mm.
like, okay, I think I'm going to stay here in the US because I found people that I can connect with. And
Mm.
I've met a lot of kind people that I'm convinced that this place is uh, just full of good people that I can communicate with and learn different culture.
Mm.
Um, and then so around like end of my exchange year, I started looking for options for continuing my schooling. I realized that I think if I were to continue high school, it would be. I'm sorry. I realized that skipping grades is actually a thing in the U.S. It's much
Mm.
harder at home, and
Okay.
it appears easier in the U.S. at least. So then I started applying for college in my junior year of high school,
Okay.
and I took the ACT in a few times, and then I did a
Mm.
bunch of AP exams, and then I did the whole thing to apply for different college, and then Georgia Tech's one of them, and then
Okay.
but I was I realized that you need a high school certificate before you can be accepted to college, which I mean obviously makes sense retrospectively. But at that
Yeah.
time, I was like, okay, I want to like maximize my time, minimize my time to become an aerospace engineer because well, there's two main factors. First of all, I cannot wait to be an aerospace engineer because
Mm.
I want to like learn about the actual stuff and
Mm.
get my hands dirty and do the actual build a rocket and things like that. But at the
Mm.
same time, it's like I was trying to minimize the financial burden to my parents because every year I live in the U.S. extra money to my parents that they have to pay for.
Mm.
So then I was like, okay, what can I do? It just so happened like I have a family friend or so that had this is similar path. But I learned essentially about a high school community college dual enrollment program, which is
Mm.
offered in quite a few states here in the U.S. One of them being Washington. I don't really remember the other ones at the top of my head, but
Mm.
and then I was like, yeah, let me just do that because there's in my mind there's a few benefits. First of all, it's a transitional period to
Mm.
community college, or to college, right? Like you take like classes of different difficulties that you want,
Mm.
and also the price is a lot more enticing.
Mm.
And also I can skip like basically I can take like college classes, but then still get a high school diploma out of it so that I can
Okay.
satisfy my requirement. Because when I was in Utah, when I applied for those universities, I already know that their university is interested in me. All they tell me is like, you
Mm.
just need a high school diploma and then you come back, apply next year. We'll definitely we'll give you an offer and
Yeah.
stuff. So I was okay. I was hopeful about it, and
Mm.
they give me like motivation. So then to spend a year and a half approximately in Seattle, That's where I did my community college. That's like my
Okay.
second phase in the US. Um,
Big
and
city.
big city. Well, I didn't really live in Seattle. I lived like
Okay.
about 25 minutes south, city called
Okay.
Auburn.
Uh,
And it's like a very different vibe. But I feel
mm,
like every single city here I live in the US is like really different vibe. But Washington, it was honestly depressing at times because of the weather. You have like,
mm,
terrible sunlight. It's just like no sunlight. And then I have classes from
mm,
like 7 in the morning to like 4 p.m. And then like I never see the sun during the day.
yeah.
But luckily I met a really good friend of mine there. He's still like, he lives here in Atlanta right now, happily.
Mm,
He's like one of my best friends. That's like a period of time I was like, just like, I was fully focused on studying. I was getting like my 4.0s, making sure I
mm,
get out of classes. And only take classes that's transferable. Because I actually, yes, because of my alumni back in secondary school in Hong Kong, I was already
mm.
determined that I was going to go to Georgia Tech for a PhD.
Okay.
So I sort of like
Okay.
had it like a pseudo roadmap in my mind, and so far I've been sticking with it too. So which is kind of funny now I think about it.
Oh, so
Um,
even before you visited the U.S., you knew that Georgia Tech was where you wanted to get your PhD.
yeah, I was like, it's definitely one of those schools. Like, okay, if I were to come to the U.S.
Okay.
and if I were to like it, I would like to go to
Yeah.
Georgia Tech for aerospace and engineering, or either like some other school like Caltech or Stanford.
Mm,
And
mm.
um, so it was like just so it happens, I'm like sticking to it, and I'm like pretty proud of
Well,
myself for that.
you should be proud of yourself, and I would say it didn't just happen. You made it happen.
Thank you.
So take the credit for yourself.
But yeah, that's true. But thanks.
Sure.
Let's see. So we talked about Washington. Oh, we're still in Washington right now.
Yeah.
So that was like a year and a half, and then COVID happened during that year and a half. So
Mhm.
everything was like weird. My classes were online. I love being in person to interact with professors and learn from them
Yeah.
directly. And being honest, really rough because like I also during my time in Washington, I was still too young because I started college when I was like 16, and I was like
Mm.
17 at that point. So I wasn't allowed to live on my own outside of
Uh,
campus. So I used to have like host family, and then it was like
mm,
I had like two not really lucky incidents in that year in Washington. So
mm,
um so like it was a bit rough. COVID didn't happen, and then I went home for half a year to do class remotely,
mm.
and then I think that year was like it was really
When you
necessary.
say home, you mean Hong Kong?
Yeah, I went to Hong Kong
So
for
you did classes from Hong Kong. You did virtual classes from the school in Seattle.
yeah. So
Okay.
it's about 2020 July is when I went back home for a little bit. It's because like at that point I was already like mostly done with my transfer credits. I had like 2 classes
Mm,
left, and I was aiming for spring transfer to Georgia Tech because I was applying
okay.
for it as well. And then so I went home for like 5 months, and then that was like a necessary recharge because I was like Seattle with its weather and then COVID, and also like the misfortunate run of the host family that kind of like make it
Mm,
really rough for me. But I went home for a little bit. I was able to like spend some time with my cats, my family.
uh-huh.
But then I realized like, okay, you know what? It's too comfortable here at home. I need to like,
Huh.
it's kind of a weird philosophy in my mind. Like, I like to seek discomfort. Like, I think
I
for
understand.
personal growth, not for like just to
Yes,
be discomfort.
I understand.
Yeah,
Good. That is a very good attitude that will serve you well. It already has, clearly.
I hope so. Um, and I think so as well. And then so during that time, it consolidated my mind. It's like, okay, I need to come back here. I need to like
Mm,
figure this like out and see how far I could go with my dream. Like, because for the longest time, my dream was to like during my years in the US, the first initial years in the US, I
mm,
learned a lot about JPL and all this program that it did, and I learned
mm,
about NASA and stuff. I mean, obviously I heard of NASA, but I didn't really know about JPL and all the programs. I think The
mm,
Martian also helped with that because like in The Martian, the book talked all about
mm.
seeing JPL.
Yes, that was the first time I'd ever seen JPL really shown in a film, which was wild. So yes, we were all very excited about that.
hmm and that really opened my mind. And like for the longest time in mind, it still is. I feel like JPL is like top notch scientific research
Mm,
agency, and I would love to be a part of it. So that was like my goal when I was like doing my early college years. I mean,
mm,
it's like me college and high school. So I was aiming for that and I aimed for Georgia Tech transfer. And then I did that in 2021 spring. Got accepted luckily. And then in like January, I flew back from home here to Atlanta and then just been here ever since. So
so okay, so now I want to talk about your experience of Atlanta as a city compared to, Utah and Seattle. And so I've lived in like 6 different states, most of the major cities, and Atlanta is its own sort of thing to me. So I'm curious from your perspective,
yeah,
what do you think?
it's hard to conclude my feelings to Atlanta in like a short summary.
Mm.
Sorry, as you know, probably by now, I'm a yapper. I talk a lot. It's because yeah, but I think Atlanta. First of all, the weather's lovely. It's always been sunny here, like the past few months. I cannot complain at all. It's
I guess the
fantastic.
humidity in the summer doesn't bother you.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
I think it's because of we're used to like being even hotter and more humid. So like
fair
Atlanta is like
enough.
it's pretty good in that regards. I guess I'll start with the appearance of it. I was surprised by how green it is.
Mm.
Pleasantly surprised. It
Mhm.
is probably the most the most tree I've ever seen, and I love it for
It's
that.
actually, I just learned this, the highest tree density of any city in the US. Like it
Yeah, I think
actually
so.
is. Yeah,
Like
I had no idea.
it's awesome. Like if you were to go up to like a taller building here,
Mm.
just look across city, you cannot see building. Residential area is all trees, and I love it for that. I think it also helps with the air quality and stuff.
Mm.
So that's the first appearance-wise impression of Atlanta.
Mm.
I also like it for how it's honestly a lot more vibrant and lively than I
Mm.
anticipated it to be.
Mm.
I live in Auburn, it's like a suburb, so it's like not much really thing going on. Like people are just like there to work and like just go home, be with the family.
Mm.
Utah is also like it's a really religious city, obviously, so like it's a different like rhythm of life there.
Mm.
But here you can see people from all different aspects of life.
Mm.
Obviously being the biggest airport in the US in the world, you're bound to have like a lot of people influx of different like culture and stuff into here. So like I think that was like one of the most like you can find anything here, like a lot of different
Mm.
cultures and just people from different backgrounds. And being in Georgia Tech especially exposed me to even more diverse background.
Mm.
Like you have international students from everywhere. You have people from across the entire US and people at different stages of their life. You have people that are like just
Mm.
like young like me. You got like prodigy, like one of my lab mates is like 16-year-old and started speaking. And then
Wow.
17, sorry. Uh and then you also have like people that are like retired, but then they want to do a PhD afterwards, and then they have so much thing to teach you about.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think but I feel like that's like in a lot of universities common theme
Mm.
there. But yeah. Sorry, I just want to talk to you. So
Sure.
yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. I always like to hear the perspectives of people about the US who are not from the US.
Yeah.
It's it always gives me something new. Like you mentioned the trees, and I agree. That's not what I thought about Atlanta when I first was generally aware of it. When I was younger, and I was actually here visiting in 2003, and then I didn't come back until 2023, and so it's like a completely different city since then. So that's been really fun to get to know the city. So tell me about the work that you're doing right now.
Yeah. Actually, just one more thing. I want to make a remark on like one thing that I really love about the US. It's also the thing
Mm.
that keeps giving me hope toward the country. It's the difference. It's the diversity in ideas and also background. I think the
Okay.
fact that you can have so many people from so many different parts of the world in a concentrated spot, for example, and you have them exchange their ideas and just to express their own beliefs stuff. I think that's wonderful. Like, because this is how new ideas are sparked, and this
Yeah.
is how knowledge is exchanged. But sorry, this is the one thing that I really want to
No,
emphasize
thank
about.
you. That I think that we need to hear that more here.
Yeah,
So thank you.
and like, just like,
So
oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
just one more remark.
Yeah.
Because I come from Hong Kong. Hong Kong is like a super attached city as well. But a lot of things is like most of the international people there are coming from business background, so that you don't have like
Okay.
the exchange. Like, but the U.S. is not just business, right? You have like science, research. You have people that are
Uh,
just here to live, and I think that's like makes it like really unique, and it's a huge advantage for the country.
hmm. I like that. I hope we can continue to see it that way, as the advantage it has always been. So focusing on what you're working on right now. So tell me, what does the rest of your PhD look like?
Yeah. So I'll give a little overview of what I've worked on so far.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, shout out to my advisor, Dr. Ro Cabell.
Mm-hmm.
It's given me a really good chance. I mean, my friend, sorry. Uh, and then my research is, first of all, we're in the Little Gravity Science and Technology Lab.
Mm-hmm.
We do anything that is related to fluid mechanics and microgravity, and sometimes not even fluid mechanics. It could be like some projects that we worked on in our lab includes a liquid radar telescope project. We also have lunar dust mitigations. We also have CubeSat propulsion. We also have cryogenic system that I'm working on and stuff. So we have a plethora
Mm-hmm.
of stuff that we do.
So your work is touching all of those things?
My work, three of those things I just mentioned. So
Okay.
my
Okay.
first year of PhD, I started with it's a DoD project. It's a liquid metal telescope project in which we're using essentially permanent magnets and other mitigation methods to actuate a mixture of ferrofluids and other stuff in terms of creating a liquid metal telescope surface. The benefits of it is being, self-assembly and also like potential very scalable and also like potentially self-repairable. That's the first year of my PhD. It works mostly as a training. Also, it's also the beginning of our lab. So like we're trying to find funding opportunities,
Okay.
and it was a really good. It gave me a really good taste of what government project is like, because obviously
Okay.
being in DARPA, it's a lot more different pace than like NASA projects and other stuff. So it's definitely very intense and demanding. And oftentimes you have to like, you are just, you don't have like the long developed time that you have in other projects.
Okay.
But I think it's great for me because I was new to the whole research side of things, and I don't have a lot of experience under my belt. So that forced me to learn a lot in a short amount of time. So that's my first year. I liked it. I make a lot of good connections to people as well. And then my second year, I started to transition. Between my first year and second year, we had to do this like PhD qualification exam process. It's called quals here. It's pretty stressful. The transition. There's a few months of that, and then and then I switched to a NASA tech flight project in which this is part of the NASA Flight Opportunities Program. Shout out to NASA for selecting us, by the way. We are really likely given 4 parabolic flights experiments, 4 different instances to test our experiment. Our experiment is on a CubeSat. Oh, did I mention? Oh, actually, I realized I wasn't able to give you the full tour last time.
Sure.
I was set up, but sorry about that. But anyways, I'm working on CubeSat propulsion repositioning devices. So these are called propel management devices, in which just a little context there. So a lot of times you have CubeSats. CubeSats uses co-gas propulsion systems because of high reliability as well as low cost, especially in the university lab scale and for like small company like LEO satellite scale. And a lot of them, because of the disadvantage of co-gas propulsion system, is that the volumetric density, impulse density is super low because you're storing it as gas. So we oftentimes use these self-pressurizing propellants. For example, refrigerants like R236FA, these are propellant that are self-pressurized to a specific pressure in which that you can enjoy the benefits of both the reliability of a co-gas propulsion system, but then also the higher volumetric impulse density of using a two-phase self-pressurizing propellant. But this has its own problem in a way that, because oftentimes these CubeSats, you try to maximize the propellant that you carry on board. So you have these different conformal propellant tank structures. So when you think about propellant tank, you probably think about like a cylinder like this. That's like more of like a traditional shape. But with these conformal propellant tanks, you oftentimes having something like a rectangular, and then you add like another triangle here and there because you're trying to maximize the volume that you can carry on board. But these cause a lot of like phase separation issues in the sense that, first of all, because we want to expel gas from our system, right? It's a co-gas propulsion system. But with having these corners and different wedges cause liquids to wake into these different corners and stuff. So you actually see, if your tank is like not all the way full, and you see liquids being built up these corners, and you cannot access them, right? You'll have issues. So essentially my second year's research is focusing on how exactly do I reliably extract only gas and move, essentially just concentrate the bubbles to a place I want to be, and then I have the outlet there, and I can do a whole venting system from there.
So presumably you also have pressure issues if the stuff is distributed around the volume and parts of it are at higher pressure and lower pressure, I would imagine.
Yeah, because the pressure is defined by the saturation pressure, which is defined by the temperature of the interface. So you'll be at risk of having these like superheated regions, and then your temperature inside the tank will be pretty high. That will be putting your system at risk as well.
I see.
But that's not the majority of the concern, because oftentimes it's cold in space and stuff anyways. So it depends, but our concern is basically on phase separation. Yep.
Okay. So how many years are left in your program?
So it's a good question. I think part of it depends on how fast I want to make it to be. So right now, I recently published a paper. I submitted a paper. It's under review right now. It's on the research I was talking about. So it's basically, we call it thermocapillary propellant management device. It's part of the experiment I did with the NASA tech flight, but we still have 2 more flights. And as a matter of fact, this past flight, the second flight, we actually test a lot more experiments on top of the thing I just talked to you about. So to give an example, I'm just going to tell you the rest of them. My other research includes building the entire thrust delivery system that I just talked about. What I
Okay.
talked about earlier, the propellant management device is only part of the whole propulsion system in which you're just focusing and creating gas in the outlet system.
Mm-hmm.
But the second part of it is actually how do we reliably extract this pocket of gas, generate thrust in our system with known
Mm-hmm.
predictable thrust. So that's the second part that I worked on. And the second experiment, I built some of these, I can show you photos later, but I built these like vapor extraction device, and then I did the whole thrusting and testing stuff. So that's the second part I did. And then the third part, the first experiment that we did in the second flight this past time was essentially a simulated cryogenic experiment for thermal management. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be like the next stage of my PhD, in a sense that the first year of my PhD was practicing, like just getting
Mm-hmm.
trained with the telescope project. And in the second year of project, solving a pretty niche problem, even though it's not that niche. Self-reinforcing propellant is really common, and solving this phase separation issue is a big thing. But then
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to become an expert in a wider field that's more applicable to everything, and that will
Mm-hmm.
become cryogenics.
Okay.
That's the stage. With that in mind, to graduate a PhD, you probably need 3 contributions. I have at least
Mm-hmm.
one down already, especially with the paper published.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one and the third one is like work in progress. But I'm
Okay.
targeting about like 2 years from now, maybe like 27 spring or even a little bit later
Okay.
if I want to write more papers.
So then what do you want to do after that? What's next?
Question. So
And you
I've
don't
been,
have to know the answer. I want to put it to you,
no, that's a good
on the
question.
spot.
No, you should. And it's a question I've been thinking for a long time as well.
Uh,
So with me not being your decision, there's more constraints and things I would be in mind of, particularly about visa and working permissions. Because so far from what I've seen here, I've loved my work here. I love the people I work with. I love my lab mates. I love my professor. And I think staying here in the US will be, if they allow me, hopefully be good for to continue what I love to do.
mm,
So that determines a lot of things. It's like, in order to stay here in the US, you pretty much have to like keep working right after you graduate, and then like you have to like make sure you apply for different type of visa sponsorships so you can
mm,
stay here. Obviously you have the traditional path of H-1B visas with working for a company, but that's also a bit annoying because aerospace companies don't hire international people in the first place. Especially me coming from I'm technically Hong Kong, but like it's still considered as a Chinese entity. So in
mm,
that case, it'll be, if I were to do a normal international student path, working for a company, get the visa, and then like stay here, that would be really
mm,
cumbersome. So I think my goal and my hope is to apply for EB-1B visa.
mm,
Essentially, they're intended for people with a PhD or like a specific type. So that's probably what I'm going to strive for. I might even apply for it during my grad school, and as I stay
mm,
here and work more on my research and further it. But if there's a career goal, I really want to. Okay, so once again, this is back to like my dream as a kid. I want to make
mm,
this world a better place, right? And I
mm,
think a lot of it to do is to be with. Obviously, there's technology improvement that we can do. There's like infrastructure that we can build, but I
mm,
think conservation is a big part of it as well. So I
mm,
want to be able to like make my own company essentially that does technology that
mm,
furthers both human desire to explore. So it could be something like a propulsion system company or
mm,
project from a management company, something in that area that I can like, first of all, allow us to continue to explore the world, like the universe, and then
mm,
inspire kids, like next generation, for example, your son, to do start research
mm,
and be motivated going here. And then I also want to use the earnings I get from that, like a personal
mm,
profit or like company profit, and then use it to like do charitable course, for example, like conservation, like buying up forests, protect them, even though it shouldn't happen like that in the first place, or protecting, setting up like marine protection zone, or just
mm.
help people to like have a better education stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of things I want to do in life. I hope I live long enough to do all of them
I, I
after
want
this
to
one.
I want to stop you there because I think that is one of the most inspiring kind of goal statements I've heard in a really long time.
Thanks.
What I'm hearing is ambitious, specific technology development goals, economic goals, and a desire to feed all that back into charitable work and conservation and the kind of positive feedback loop that can really bring more people into more prosperity, more exploration, knowledge, and so on. I think that is a fantastic place to stop the conversation today.
Thank you.
I really am feeling inspired and hopeful after that. So I want to thank you for joining me today on this episode of the Space Madness podcast, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Take care.